was obviously a huge fan of his. So I think he was as influential on that instrument as, say, Hendrix was for the electric guitar.
Only hope can keep me together. Love can mend your life.
You know, he was an extraordinary musician and a lovely human being. I think there's too much said about this crazy Jaco. We're all crazy. We're all crazy.
When speaking about the art of bass playing, Sting often returns to a select group of names. In interviews across decades, he has nodded respectfully towards a handful of musicians, each of whom helped shape his own approach to the bass and to music itself. Their influence, both technical and spiritual, runs deep through Sting's career, from the spiky reggae pop of The Police to the jazz-inflected elegance of his solo work. Paul McCartney, for Sting, represents the very model of a singing bassist.
Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right with you.
What McCartney does on the bass is unique. He's singing these incredibly melodic lines, while underneath he's creating bass lines that are counterpoints, almost like a second melody, Sting told Guitar World. It's like watching someone juggle 6 balls while reciting Shakespeare. You don't even notice because he makes it look so natural. Growing up in Wallsend, Sting listened intently to the Beatles, absorbing not just their songwriting genius, but the quiet revolution happening beneath the melodies. McCartney's bass lines on tracks like Something and Rain thrilled the young Gordon Sumner. I started to realize the bass didn't have to just plod along with the root note, he recalled. It could dance, it could comment, it could lead. Sting has often cited Paperback Writer as a transformative track. The bass in that song, he observed, was almost the lead instrument, pushing the song along with both authority and grace. In his own compositions like Every Breath You Take, one can hear a similarly melodic approach to the bass line, moving with independence while binding the song together.
Every single day, and every word you say.
Jack Bruce, meanwhile, represented something a little rougher, a little more dangerous. The Cream bassist brought jazz complexity and hard-edged blues aggression to his work, expanding what a rock bassist could dare to do. Sting has never hidden his admiration. Jack Bruce was a pioneer. He played the bass like a lead instrument. He took it out of the background and put it at the front of the stage, both literally and musically. In the documentary Beware of Mr. Baker, Sting spoke movingly about Bruce's audacity. Jack's playing gave me license. It was a declaration. You can be the front man, you can sing and play bass with attitude. You don't have to lurk in the shadows. Listening to Cream's Badge or White Room, one hears Bruce's signature mix of melodic invention and aggressive attack. A combination that had a clear impact on Sting's approach to early Police songs such as Next to You and Roxanne. There is a trace of Bruce's restless, improvisatory spirit in Sting's elastic bass lines and in his refusal to be hemmed in by genre boundaries. Sting also noted Bruce's ability to improvise fearlessly in live settings. When you watch those Cream performances, you realize Jack was constantly inventing, constantly pushing. That spirit is something I've tried to bring into my own playing. Phil Lynott, frontman and bassist of Thin Lizzy, brought yet another dimension to Sting's developing musical sensibility.
Somewhere in this town, tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak. Won't you be around?
Lynott embodied the idea that a bassist could be a storyteller, a poet with a low-end instrument slung across his hips. Sting once remarked, "Phil Lynott was one of those guys who made it look effortless. He was cool, charismatic, and he wrote songs that spoke to people, and all the while he's laying down these fluid, driving bass parts." Songs like "The Boys Are Back in Town" and "Dancing in the Moonlight" showcased Lynott's melodic sensibility, blending narrative lyricism with bass lines that bubble and surge with energy. In interviews, Sting has pointed to Lynott as an example of how rock and poetry could coexist. There's a lyrical quality to Phil's bass playing. It's not just supporting the song, it's telling a story alongside the words. Lynott's stage presence also left a mark. Where many bassists of the era preferred to fade into the background, Lynott strutted confidently, center stage, commanding the audience with both voice and instrument.
Policemen came, took Peter's name. God may rest in peace. No one saw the notice.
That attitude, that the bassist could be a star, was not lost on Sting as he carved his own path in the volatile world of late 70s rock. Thin Lizzy's Cowboy Song remains one of Sting's favourite examples of Lynott's dual talents. "It's cinematic, it's rocking, it's tender all at once," he once said, and the bass underpins all of it with such grace. And then there is Jaco Pastorius, perhaps the most transformative influence of all. Sting's reverence for the late Weather Report bassist is profound and often expressed in near-religious terms. Jaco changed everything, Sting told Bass Player magazine. He redefined what the bass could do. It wasn't just rhythm, it wasn't just harmony, it was voice, it was color, it was spirit. Pastorius's work on albums such as Heavy Weather and his self-titled debut revealed new possibilities for the instrument. Lyrical fretless slides, harmonics that shimmered like bells, percussive attacks that punched through the mix. Sting met Jaco only once, briefly, at a concert in New York. The encounter left an impression. He had this presence about him, Sting recalled. You could feel the intensity even before he picked up the bass. And then when he played, it was pure magic. The Police's later albums, especially Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity, betray a fascination with Jaco's style. Sting began exploring fretless bass, experimenting with space, tone and phrasing in a way that owed much to Pastorius. Even in his solo work, on songs like Fragile and Fields of Gold, there is a delicacy and lyricism in the bass that seems to trace a line back to Jaco's innovations.
Many years have passed, still so summer days, among the fields of barley.
Sting often speaks of Jaco in almost mystical terms. He wasn't just a player, he was a painter. Every note had texture, every phrase had life. That's something I aspire to every time I pick up a bass guitar. Together, these four musicians form the bedrock of Sting's musical identity as a bassist. Each brought something vital: McCartney's melodic genius, Bruce's fearless virtuosity, Lynott's lyrical swagger, Pastorius's celestial artistry. Sting's career has been a study in absorption and transformation. Rather than merely imitating his heroes, he synthesized their strengths into something distinctly his own. His playing, whether anchoring the frenetic pulse of Message in a Bottle or weaving through the intricate textures of Englishman in New York, carries the DNA of McCartney, Bruce, Lynott and Pastorius. But perhaps the most important lesson he drew from them was philosophical rather than technical. As he told Rolling Stone, the bass isn't about showing off. It's about making everything else sound better. It's about supporting the song, lifting it, colouring it, without ever shouting, "Look at me." The greatest bassists, McCartney, Jack, Phil, Jaco, they all understood that. It's something I strive for every time I pick up the instrument. Even now, decades into an extraordinary career, Sting remains the student as much as the master. He listens, he learns, he honours his heroes not by copying them, but by playing with the same curiosity, courage and commitment that made them icons in the first place. It is perhaps the highest tribute one musician can pay another,